Hey guys, it's Anthony Bandiero here with Blue to Gold Law Enforcement Training, bringing you another Roadside Chat from studio. So basically, if you're new to this channel, what I do here is I answer questions from viewers, former students, and so forth around the country, and I do it usually on the road because I travel a lot. But of course, with COVID and everything, I'm gonna do it from the studio. All right. So today's question comes from an officer in Utah, and basically the question is what do we need to articulate to make a forced entry into a home for a medical call? All right. So the scenario that we get here is that the officer saying, "Look, we get a ton of welfare check calls. It's usually from someone who does not have standing to give us permission to enter the home." I want to address that in a second. Okay. More often than not, we gather what information is available, and then we determine what exigent circumstances we have to make a community caretaking entry into the home, to see if we can locate the victim and provide medical assistance. So the question is, what kind of things do we need to consider if we're going to do that? All right. So the first thing I want to address is the standing issue. The officer did not give a specific scenario about why they believe the person does not have standing, but what I'm picturing is that, and it goes on to talk about something about drugs and so forth, but I'm picturing like people are using drugs in a house, their friends or whatever, and then that person is the one that maybe calls 911, and then they answer the door, and then I guess they decide to, once the cops go there, they decide, or the guy's like the victim, right, is recovering, and so forth, and the cops are talking to that person. And the question is, do they have standing to let you into the house? And the answer is, generally speaking, yes, right? Yes. So what we're looking at here is they don't own the house. They're not residents, but that doesn't mean that friends cannot let other friends into the house. I just want you to remember that this is called common authority. Unless the person says to you, "Hey, I can't let you in. First of all, I don't want to let you in. I don't want to let you in." Well, that's fine. Or they say, "I can't let you in because I promised my friend I would not let anybody in the house." Well, then if that's the case, then you probably can you couldn't use their consent. Or if you know that they shouldn't be allowed to invite people in, like, so for example, the plumber, the babysitter is pushing it. The babysitter is probably not supposed to allow other people into the house while they're doing their job babysitting the kids. There's an exception, of course. I'm just telling you to think about these things. But certainly the plumber or the electrician could not let the police into the house under their own authority, because they have very limited authority, which is only to provide repairs. Okay. So if I go over to your house, though, my point is, if I go over to your house and we're hanging out, and if you answer the door and you're like, "Hey, can we come in?" I could probably let you into the house. I mean, can I let other people into the house, my other friends? Just don't think it's automatically a no-go unless there's some other facts to think that you can. All right. So the second thing is the exigent circumstances. All right, the community caretaking. So community caretaking is actually not the right doctrine to use when it comes to homes. Community caretaking generally applies to people on the street and cars, right? So, and the reason why is, if you look at case law, community caretaking does not require, exigency or a high level of proof. Usually the courts will say, do you have a reason to believe the person needs your help or wants your help? The person, the person is, on the side of the road, right? And they're broken down. That's community caretaking. The vehicle is going 25 miles per hour, on a 55 mile per hour road. Maybe it's not illegal the way that they're driving. Maybe they're not blocking traffic and impeding traffic, but 25 miles per hour is pretty damn slow for a 55 mile per hour zone, especially where everybody else is going the speed limit. So you may be able to pull that car over and say, hey, what's going on? Are you having mechanical problems? Are you having problems yourself? Or, are you okay? Even though, you may have a hunch that the person is drunk, but you're doing it under community caretaking. But going into houses just to make sure people are okay is not authorized by most case law. And this issue, by the way, is before the U.S. Supreme Court about what, does community caretaking strictly apply to homes? And I think the answer is going to be no. I think what the Supreme Court's going to say is like, look, we actually need real, exigency and a higher level of proof closer to probable cause, not reasonable suspicion and just making sure people are safe. All right. So what we would rather call this is the emergency aid exception. Okay. So what we are looking for is, first of all, do you reasonably believe that somebody in that house is in immediate need of your assistance, right? You're basically playing the role of a firefighter, paramedic, right? Do you reasonably believe that? And you have to tell me why you think so, because somebody called 911 and they heard screaming and a hang up. The husband answers the door, will not let the wife come to the door, just to make sure that she's okay. Those are facts that, a reasonable officer believe, like somebody could be injured in the house and need my assistance, right? We also want to see good motive here. We do not want to see pretext entries into a home, calling them, community caretaking or calling them emergency aid issues, but really being primarily motivated to find evidence of criminal activity. Courts do not like that. They will, they will suppress evidence if they believe that you're up to something. So we want to also not see facts that show that you're actually really doing something. You're using the emergency aid exception for criminal investigations. So we don't want bad faith. Look, and then when you enter the house, we want to see a connection of where did you go, and so forth. So if you went into the house and you're looking for the wife and you immediately, start looking in the attic, we're going to have a problem, right? If you immediately went into the backyard and you start looking in a shed, we're going to have a problem unless you have a reason to believe she's back there. We're going to want to look into areas first that you reasonably believe she could be: living room, a bedroom, and so forth. And remember, you can't search for evidence, but plain view seizure applies. So that's what we want. At the end of the day, we want the emergency aid exception to use that. It's going to require exigency. You're going to have to prove that you're not going there as just a best practice. Don't say, Your Honor, I just want to make sure the person was safe. Don't say that. That's not going to work. You can't go into people's homes just to make sure. You can only go, you might do that for the car, right? You might be able to pull over the car just to make sure that the person is not having a medical or mechanical issue with the vehicle. But you can't go in the house just to make sure. You can only go in the house if you have exigency, that somebody is in danger, they need your help, and so forth. So that's the answer to your question. We can apply these to the facts of the case, but that's what we want to see. So wrap it up. We want exigency. We want good faith. Do not use this as a ruse to get into houses. We want you to do those things connected to the exigency, right? Plain view applies. If you see evidence in plain view, that allows you to grab and go or freeze it for a warrant. All right. I hope this helped. Keep your questions coming. Email show@bluetogold.com. Remember that, you might think I'm making millions of dollars doing these YouTube videos, and the reality is I don't make a penny. So, right. So what I do for a living is I teach officers online, in person, on demand. I teach them search and seizure. All right. I also have the best-selling search and seizure book called the Search and Seizure Survival Guide. Please pick up a copy if you don't have it already. Go to bluetogold.com. And until next time, my friends, stay safe.
When it comes to law enforcement training, we are the gold standard. Visit bluetogold.com or call 888-579-7796 to learn more about our training, books, and free webinars. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel.